I'd like to stop and tell you now about a very special person. Last year, Irena Sendler, at the ripe old age of 98, went home to be with the Lord. You may have never heard of her, but Irene Sendler was one of those unsung heroes who humbly changed the world in which she lived. You can even go home tonight and look her up on Wikipedia. It was 1942, the height of World War II, and the Nazis had herded hundreds of thousands of Jews into a 16-block area, imagine, in the Warsaw Ghetto. Irena managed to get a legal pass and was able to visit the ghetto on a daily basis, delivering food, supplies, and clothing. But soon conditions became so harsh that men, women, and children were dying by the thousands each month from starvation and disease. It was then that Irena Sendler went from being a humanitarian to becoming a smuggler. First, she recruited a team of 10 to help in her rescue mission, and that team grew to 25. All but one were women. Over time, Irena would issue hundreds and hundreds of false documents with forged signatures. Irena and her team concentrated on rescuing Jewish children. Some were taken away in gunny sacks or body bags. Some were buried inside loads of goods. A plumber regularly took babies who had been anesthetized out of the ghetto in his toolbox. Some kids were carried out in potato sacks. Others were placed alongside dead bodies in coffins. Some escaped through a church that divided the ghetto from the free side of Warsaw. Irene had a faithful partner in crime, her dog. The dog was trained to bark when Nazi soldiers let them in and out of the ghetto. So not only did soldiers avoid the dog, the barking covered up the noise coming from Irena's precious cargo. Well, the Nazis eventually caught Irena. They broke her feet and legs and crippled her for life. They threw her in a prison where the Gestapo often tortured her to try and find out who her contacts were. But no one could break Irena's spirit. As unbelievable as it may seem, Irena Sendler managed to rescue an estimated 2,500 children from the Warsaw Ghetto. Those of you who have heard of Irena will remember that she was up for a Nobel Peace Prize in 2007, the prize that Barack Obama, the infanticide president, just won. But Irena Sendler lost in 2007 to Al Gore, who won for climate change. Now, I tell you that story to make a very important point. Failure was not an option for Irena Sendler. Every single day, she was willing to risk it all, including her very own life, for the sake of those children. The same should hold true for us. Failure should not be an option. But is the pro-life issue really life or death to us? Have we really integrated that if and when we fail, real children die, just like the children in the Warsaw Ghetto, just a little younger? As I mentioned before, our numbers are stronger than ever. Another poll, Zogby, says that 53% of all Americans and 56% of all women believe that, quote, abortion destroys a human life and is manslaughter, end quote. Ladies and gentlemen, 53% of Americans agree, quote, abortion destroys a human life and is manslaughter. 51% of Americans call themselves pro-life. So do you realize what that means? We actually have enough support on paper to be winning the debate. So with these kinds of numbers, why does a pro-life agenda continue to falter in the public square? After all, we hold the majority opinion, and we're growing more every day. So why aren't we winning battles right and left? That's a question that we're going to attempt to answer tonight. Why? And the answer is the great disconnect. But it may actually involve pro-lifers, not just pro-aborts. Now, this may be a little painful, but my working definition for us tonight of the great disconnect is the lifestyle of too many pro-lifers, including everyday decision-making, is dramatically disconnected from deeply held moral convictions. In fact, some pro-lifers may behave more like Pontius Pilate than we'd ever like to think. Simply put, not enough pro-lifers believe that, quote, abortion destroys a human life and is manslaughter. Evidence of the great disconnect can be seen in every area of our lives, and here are 10 observations. Are we routinely, daily, praying and fasting for an end to the abortion holocaust? Are the churches in America, Catholic and Protestant, mobilizing to protect the unborn? Or are the pulpits in this great nation largely silent on the issue? Check this out. According to one reliable pro-life source, 58% of all mothers going in to abort claim to have an active affiliation with a religious denomination. 17% of moms who abort say that they are evangelical Christians. Talk about disconnected.